An elderly woman mistakes her virtual assistant Siri, Google Assistant for the ghost of her deceased husband and continuously asks it awkward questions about family matters. Do you think this is a reasonable explanation? If you find it funny, please like and subscribe. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into the world of technology, but not in the way you might expect. We're not talking about the latest gadgets or groundbreaking AI. Instead, we are going to bust some of the most common and persistent myths about the technology we use every single day. You might be surprised to find out that some of the things you believe to be true are, well, completely wrong. Let's get started. First up, a classic. Charging your phone overnight ruins the battery. How many of you religiously unplug your phone the second it hits 100%? I used to be one of them. The truth is, modern smartphones are, well, smart. They have built-in protection circuits that stop the charging process once the battery is full. So leaving it plugged in overnight won't overcharge it or cause it to explode. The battery will simply stop drawing power. What actually degrades your lithium-ion battery over time is the number of charge cycles and heat. So, if you're really worried about battery health, try to keep your phone cool and avoid letting it drop to 0% all the time, but leaving it plugged in at night. You can sleep easy. Next, let's talk about your computer. Have you ever heard that Macs can't get viruses? This was a popular selling point for years. And while it's true that Macs historically had fewer viruses than Windows PCs, that's not because they're magically immune. It was largely a numbers game. Since most of the world used Windows, it was a much more attractive target for cybercriminals. Why develop a virus for a small fraction of a market when you can target the majority? But as Apple's market share has grown, so has the interest from malware creators. Macs are absolutely susceptible to viruses, ransomware, and phishing attacks. So, Mac users, don't get complacent. You still need to be cautious about what you download and click, and using antivirus software is a very good idea. Alright, let's switch gears to the internet. Myth number 3. Incognito mode, or private browsing, makes you completely anonymous. Online, it's easy to think that little spy icon means you're invisible, but that's far from the truth. When you use incognito mode, your browser won't save your browsing history, cookies, or any information you enter into forms on that specific device. That's it. If you're an internet service provider, your employer, or school, if you're on their network, and the websites you visit can still see your activity. Your IP address is still visible. So, while it's great for keeping your browsing history private from someone who might use your computer after you, it doesn't make you a digital ghost. For true anonymity, you need to look into more advanced tools like VPNs or the Tor browser. Here, as a fun one I hear all the time, more megapixels means a better camera. This is one of the oldest and most effective marketing tricks in the book. Camera companies love to boast about higher and higher megapixel counts, making you think that a 108 megapixel camera is automatically better than a 12 megapixel one. But that's not the whole story. A megapixel is just 1 million pixels, the tiny dots that make up a digital image, while more pixels can allow for larger prints and more cropping flexibility. The quality of a photo depends far more on other factors. The size of the camera sensor is a huge one. A larger sensor can capture more light, which leads to better performance in low-light situations and less grainy noise. The quality of the lens and the image processing software are also critically important. That's why a professional 12-megapixel camera can often take far superior photos to a 50-megapixel smartphone camera. Don't be fooled by the numbers game. Look at the whole package. Let's stick with hardware. Myth number 5. You need to safely eject your USB drive every single time. We've all seen that little icon and felt a pang of guilt when we just yanked the drive out. The Safely Eject feature is designed to prevent data corruption. It ensures that your computer has finished writing any pending data to the drive before you remove it. If you pull it out mid-transfer, you could end up with a corrupted file. However, modern operating systems like Windows 10 and 11 have a feature called Quick Removal that's usually enabled by default. This setting prevents the system from catching write operations, meaning that as long as you're not actively saving a file to the drive, it's generally safe to just pull it out. The risk is very low. But if you're paranoid or transferring a really important file, taking that extra 2 seconds to click eject is a good habit that costs you nothing. Okay, let's talk about your brain and your screens. Myth: sitting too close to the TV will ruin your eyesight. Our parents told us this. Their parents told them this, and it's a belief that has been passed down for generations. This myth actually dates back to the 1960s, when some early color television sets from General Electric were found to emit excessive levels of radiation. Those TVs were recalled, and the problem was fixed, but the myth lived on. Today's TVs, whether they're LCD, LED, or old, don't pose that risk. Sitting too close to a screen for a long time can cause temporary eye strain, headaches, and dry eyes, which is a condition known as digital eye strain. But it won't cause permanent damage to your vision or make you need glasses. Your eyes might get tired, but they'll recover. A good rule of thumb is the 20-20-20 rule. Every 20 minutes, look at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds to give your eyes a break. This next one is for all the gamers and power users. Myth: you need to build your own PC to get the best performance. Now, don't get me wrong, building your own computer can be a super rewarding hobby. You get to pick every single component. You learn a ton about how computers work, and you can often build a machine tailored exactly to your needs. However, the idea that it's the only way to get a high-performance machine is outdated. In the past, pre-built PCs were often overpriced and filled with cheap, low-quality components. But the market has changed drastically. Companies like NZXT, Corsair, and others now offer high-quality, well-balanced pre-built systems that are competitively priced. Sometimes, due to their ability to buy parts in bulk, they can even be cheaper than sourcing the components yourself, especially during times of component shortages like we've seen with graphics cards. So, if you love the process, build away. But if you just want a powerful computer without the hassle, buying a pre-built is a perfectly valid and often excellent choice. Let's bring it back to our phones. Myth number 8. Closing your background apps will save battery life and speed up your phone. This feels so intuitive, right? Less stuff running means more resources available. So, we get into the habit of obsessively swiping away every app from our recent apps list. But here's the kicker. For both iOS and Android, this can actually be counterproductive. Modern mobile operating systems are designed to manage memory efficiency. Apps in the background are typically in a frozen or suspended state. They aren't actively using your CPU or draining your battery. They're just sitting in RAM, ready to be quickly reopened. When you force close an app, you purge it from RAM. The next time you open it, the system has to load it from scratch, which uses more processor power and, you guessed it, more battery than simply resuming it from its suspended state. So, unless an app is genuinely frozen or misbehaving, it's best to just leave your background apps alone and let the operating system do its job. Here's another internet-related one. Myth number 9. The more bars of Wi-Fi signal you have, the faster your internet is. We all instinctively move around the house, phone in hand, chasing that full set of bars, thinking it's the key to a faster connection. While the signal strength indicator, those little bars, is important. It only tells you one thing: the strength of the connection between your device and your Wi-Fi router. It tells you nothing about the actual speed of the internet service coming into your house. You could have 5 full bars of Wi-Fi, but if you're only paying for a slow 10 megabit per second internet plan, or if your internet service provider is having issues in your area, your connection will still be slow. Conversely, you could have only 2 bars in the corner of your basement. But if you have a gigabit fiber connection, it might still be faster than the full bar connection at your friend's house. Signal strength affects the stability and potential speed of your local network. But the actual internet speed is a whole different ballgame. And finally, our 10th and final myth, and it's a big one. Deleting a file permanently removes it from your hard drive. When you move a file to the recycle bin or trash and then empty it, you feel like it's gone forever, right? Vaporized into the digital ether. But that's not what happens. When you delete a file, the operating system doesn't actually erase the data. It simply removes the pointer to that file in the file index system and marks the space it occupies as available. The actual ones and zeros that make up your file are still sitting there on the hard drive. They'll stay there until the system needs that space to write new data, at which point it will overwrite the old file. This is why data recovery software can often retrieve deleted files. If you want to permanently and securely erase a file so it's unrecoverable, you need to use special software that overwrites the data padros of random ones and zeros, sometimes multiple times. So, be careful what you think you've deleted, especially before selling or giving away an old computer. And there you have it, 10 common technology myths, completely debunked. Hopefully, this clears up some confusion and helps you use your tech a little more wisely. Which of these myths did you believe? Are there any other tech myths you want me to tackle? Let me know down in the comments. I love reading your feedback. If you enjoyed this video and learned something new, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss our next deep dive. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.